Not enough freedom, you know? There's too many people that dying from not eating, not drinking, you know? And it's important to everyone that to know that you can be all equal in this world.
Humidity on a mask, under a mask, is a breeding ground for bacteria. Okay? So somebody cannot tell me that that's not true.
This is what we have to do. Stop basing it on fear and quick reaction and basing it on science. That's what I'm asking. David Menzies for Rebel News here in Montreal. Well, folks, it's just after noon, and there is a huge anti-lockdown demonstration occurring here. Thousands of people are here. And you know, talk about herd immunity. There is a police presence, but they are on the periphery. They are allowing all these citizens to exercise their right of assembly, their freedom of speech, and that's not to say they're going to respect those rights because the day is young, so things might change. But for now, thousands are marching right past Olympic Stadium, and the message is clear. Enough is enough. They are tired of the lockdowns. They are tired of businesses going bankrupt. They are tired of thousands and thousands of Canadians losing their jobs. The cure is worse than the curse, clearly. And these Quebecers are saying it's time for Premier Legault to change his tune. It's time for him to open up the province. Let's see what happens. That's one heck of a hat, I gotta tell you. It looks like a ventilation pipe with a face mask on it. What's the story?
It's all about bullshit. For a year we've had bullshit, so this is as good as a curfew. This is for COVID-19, and this is for the variant.
What kind of reaction are you getting to your headwear, sir?
People are happy. They're just happy. They understand about the bullshit of all this. Yeah.
You see the people there at the commerce? Go do the march and go do it backward. Go ask every commerce, every patriot here. They stop at the commerce, they buy beer, they buy some snacks, they buy some foods. We're here for liberty, we're here for freedom, we're here to leave our fucking Quebecers right. The one thing now all of our government wants to do is to tax us with climate change, tax us with everything. But what is the fucking deal of taxing people when people are here suffering, people losing their job, people putting in lockdown? Wow, we need to step up. We're all here to stand up. We're in the fucking Olympic Stadium. We're here for freedom. Vive le Québec libre. Thank you. Folks, I interrupt this video for a very urgent message.
I just wanted to tell you while we have that little break in there that I'm so proud of Montreal. Every single person who's on this march, I'm so proud of them. You look at them. I wish that the rest of the country will take example from this protest and feel compelled to protest in the cities where they live. No matter what happens, this thing can only get worse. As I see it, as I look at its trajectory, there's never going to be a regression from here unless it's forced by the people's hand. The government's hand will be forced by the people.
2 weeks. At the beginning, we said close the borders. The Canadian government slurred all of Canadians, saying if we close the borders, then we're racist. You know what? We were not slurred by them. They slurred themselves because they told a lie, and we see the truth.
That's right.
And sir, tell me, are you worried that even if you don't get a ticket from the Montreal police today, we've noticed a very disturbing trend in recent weeks, and that is people like you and everybody here at this anti-lockdown protest going into work on Monday, they're called into the office, they're either disciplined or even fired if they're professionals, the threat of having their credentials revoked. What do you make of that kind of intimidation?
You know what? Be intimidated. We're gonna lose everything. You see where this is going? We all know where this is going. If you don't stand up right now, you will lose everything. you will have no job in the future. The 2030 reset, they say they want you to own nothing, and then you're gonna rent everything. Do you want to be a renter for the rest of your life?
Yep. I looked at that speech, and I tell you, if we don't listen, the consequences are going to be very severe, and everything will be taken from us. We've lived so long in freedom that it never occurred to us that something like that could ever happen, but it's happening in increments, slowly. In 20 years' time, we continue on the trajectory of being indifferent and don't fight back against the radical government reforms and programs that exist right now in the so-called name of COVID and prevention and health and whatnot. We're not going to have much left.
Technically, we're all breaking the law here. We're gathering in numbers. We are not wearing masks and so on and so forth. We've had very bad experiences with the Montreal police. Last night, we were following them in the Jewish community, giving huge tickets out to people just walking to a family dinner. How do you think the Montreal police is going to interact with this mass demonstration today?
I hope they will respect the crowd, but I'm not sure because, as you know, they're very aggressive in brackets. But I'm saying to people, if you have a ticket, just do like me, contest it. All these tickets are illegal and unconstitutional. You don't have to pay it. Go and see your lawyer and contest it, and you will win because we just need one person in court to win, and after that, we'll have a case law. So I hope that they will respect us today, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see together what will happen.
You know, I think you're right. I think the vast majority, if not all of them, are going to be thrown out, Mr. Bernier. But what does that say of our political leaders, our bureaucrats, the health bureaucrats, the police even? It seems that we're in a Canada where they're espousing fear and intimidation tactics. They're making you think you're breaking the law when you're really just embracing the Constitution. What do you have to say about that kind of governance that we're enduring right now?
You know, that's a tyranny. That's not governing, respecting the rule of law, respecting our Constitution. And these politicians will have to be in front of their population, maybe this fall at the next general election. And I believe that people will remember that. They will remember who was there with them to fight against these draconian measures that they are imposing on us. And at the end, we're not breaking the law. We are only here to just say to people, we are in a free country and we want to stay in a free country.
Yeah, you wear the mask, but what about wearing masks long term? Why can't someone actually come forward and say the consequences of wearing masks for long periods of time? What about the contamination that we could spread even more bacteria and viruses with the breeding ground of, like, you know, there's basically wearing a mask. It's like a process, right? There's a humidity could actually be humidity on a mask, under a mask, is a breeding ground for bacteria. Okay, so somebody cannot tell me that that's not true, right? And then after the bacteria and viruses accumulate, then we could spread that around. So
you got to look at the prevention before it happened. A lot of people are taking medication that's screwing up their immune systems. The way they're treating them in the long care facilities. It's only now that they're making better decisions, getting better equipment, getting things going in these long-term facilities. Because my wife told me that when COVID hit, they were saying there's not enough equipment for all the orderlies. You got 6 pairs of gloves. You were putting infected people would not infect them. There was nothing. So about a year ago, you look at today, it's like night and day. Now what you said about, is it worse? Now, like you said, the measures are there implemented. Yes, it is. My kid is suffering from anxiety in school since they've been mandatory wearing the masks. I work for the city of Montreal. I'm obliged to wear a mask all the time. I'm getting headaches. You're seeing people's psychological health. That's something we don't take in consideration. You look at people's liberty, the way the police officers are taking their measures out of way. They're supposed to serve us. I'm telling you, this is one thing that we got to understand, that we live in a democracy. And in a democracy, we have rules and we have laws to protect the citizen. I know we're in a pandemic, but can we use science for once? Can we stop using fear tactics? Science is what put people on the moon, for God's sake. This is what we have to do. Stop basing it on fear and quick reaction and basing it on science. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, they did base it on pseudoscience, but they claimed science nonetheless. So I would prefer if they would use their common sense and better judgment rather than only science.
You know, we stop letting these politicians say that Quebec is divided with Alberta. You know, Quebec's divided with the rest of the West. We're not all divided. When I flew across this country, this last time, I didn't see no border lines. I flew straight across Canada. I never saw a line saying this was Manitoba, this was, you know, Ontario. There's no borders. Why are they blocking it? And it says right in your Canadian passport. It's a sad thing that you got to carry your Canadian passport in your own country. Just because on the opening page of it, it says the Minister of Foreign Affairs duly asks that you cover your oath to protect the bearer of this document to travel forth between provinces, between borders, unimpeded and unhindered. And that when at times to give protection and security to that bearer of this document. I had to use that.
Well, folks, I'm with Mike Baer of Free Speech Media, and a very interesting thing happened to Mike on the way to Montreal yesterday night. And what happened when you crossed the Ontario-Quebec border?
Well, we were stopped arbitrarily. They took our colleague Alan Calder, pulled him out of the vehicle, had him on the ground, kneeled on his back, arrested him.
But why? Why?
Well, apparently you have to submit your ID even if you're not a driver. They took my ID. They didn't issue me a ticket. They turned us around and escorted us back out of the province with 5 Quebec police cars.
This is the Quebec Provincial Police?
Well, I think it was actually the Montreal police.
The Montreal Police?
Yeah. Yeah, strangely enough, they were far outside of their jurisdiction. We were like almost an hour outside of Montreal. Like we were just at the border of Ontario. Well, not the border, the boundary of Ontario and Quebec.
And so then, Mike, instead of going all the way back to Toronto, you just stayed overnight in Ontario, and then you got to come in today, Saturday. Why wasn't there a blockade today? What, is the virus over now?
we came through Gatineau, and there was no problem. There was no we weren't stopped. Everything was fine. And we came out to Montreal.
You know, Mike, to me this speaks of the insanity. This is all ostensibly being done in the name of public safety to stop infections. But so if you go one route, you're stopped. If you go another route, you're not stopped. Myself and my crew, we came by air. So apparently the Wuhan virus doesn't mind if you fly into another province. It just cares if you drive it. Mike, does this make sense to you?
It didn't, and they were only stopping drivers with Ontario plates, that, as far as I could see. So it just, none of this makes any sense.
Well, folks, I'm with Guy Lacroix. He is...
Yeah, so what you have to understand, of course, is that this is not so much a lockdown procedure as it is preventing travel between provinces. And, I mean, you heard it right there. If they're not preventing air travel and they're preventing road travel, and looks like they're choosing their targets, like media, apart from Ontario citizens that they can identify, but actual media, because I don't think that the Montreal cops went that far out of their way is a coincidence. I think they were ordered to... Somebody must have told them that guy was coming in, and they went to stop him. So then when he went through Gatineau, he was fine. So he take a different route, and they don't know. So mark my words, everyone who listens to this. Many of our rights and freedoms are already removed from us. We're not even fully aware of it. Only the people that actually perform the act will be intimately aware of what's going on. And, well, do you want to remain locked down forever? Do you want Canada to fall into tyranny and complete oppression by our own government. A lot of this stuff, it reminds me so much of the movie V for Vendetta. They had similar protocols in that movie where it was about using a virus to install a government in power. And even after the government was in power and they had the lockdowns going on forever to keep people isolated, to keep people docile. They had spy networks set up all around, going 24 hours a day, spying on people's conversations and whatnot. And I mean, that was just a movie at the time, but I never thought in 2021 we'd be living in that reality. Because for all I know, it's not so on the nose. It's more like they're spying on us through big tech and censoring us through big tech, and then the government is basically responsible for the lockdown procedures, and cops are acting like thugs and whatnot to keep everybody down, just like they were in the movie. And you have your curfews, and like what you saw there with the Jewish couple, they basically ticketed them, but it's not a far stretch to imagine that they would be brutally arrested. I mean, in the movie, it was sent to concentration camps, and we had something like that here in Canada. I believe we still have that here in Canada, but it's a very discreet COVID concentration camp, disguised as like a quarantine campsite, something like that. So open your eyes, people. Be proud of Montreal for finding their courage and saying enough is enough, and standing up to the corruption in their government, and most of all to the corruption of the federal government. To me, Justin Trudeau's government is not only the enemy of Alberta, but the enemy of all of Canada. And the reason that they're the enemy of all of Canada is, as you've seen right here, who is the people foremost responsible for the lockdowns? Trudeau's government. Justin Trudeau's government is the ones responsible. The radical theory, they keep hiding behind so-called pretenses in the name of COVID, lockdown. But as that gentleman spoke of earlier with the Great Reset, that's exactly what they intend to do. The trajectory that we're on right now will ensure that everybody is jobless. If you have your private business, they'll do everything to shut you down. And you will shut down, because how long can you thrive without business? You exist for your customers. And if your customers are not allowed to come in and get service from you, you're not going to have anything. So that'll be shut down. And slowly but surely, everybody will lose everything. Because once we don't have enough food in our bellies to and we are so far behind in payments and whatnot, we're not allowed to work. Mark my words. It's simple, really, to conceive of it. All they have to do is keep us locked down for another 5 years, and who knows how many people will be in poverty in this country. And they fully intend to keep us locked down, believe me. As soon as things start to get a little bit better, they'll release a new variant. And I know that's a conspiracy talking, but, you feel free to refute it. But that's exactly what's happening. Just as we thought we saw the end of COVID, there another variant. The Chinese are releasing it, for all we know. But it could be agents of theirs. It doesn't matter. The point is that the variants are released. And it's all designed to keep us in fear. So in this time, we should delegitimize all nationwide media that is continuing the parroting of the COVID fear tactic narrative, and delegitimize them by stop watching it. All of CBC, CTV, these people have taken massive payouts from Trudeau, so what else do you expect from them? They'll cover his ass. So all I'm saying, I'll conclude with this. We should be extremely proud of Montreal. We should be. I'm so proud of Montreal that there's so many people who are courageous in this moment that that march here. It's I'm so proud of all of them, and I wish that more people in the country would take example from them and begin to understand the absolute necessity of protesting the lockdowns. We have to protest the lockdowns. The government is not going to do anything. I look at Jason Kenney, the guy is spineless. The guy will keep us locked down as long as he thinks that will affect his political status. So he's not going to do the right thing unless people show them. People show him. People show them, the leaders of our provinces, the leaders of our cities, our federal loser government. So God bless Canada. I hope that we can get out of this. If not in protesting, then maybe sheer force. But I don't know if it's going to come to that, but it might. Good night.